One autumn afternoon, I found a USB drive in a box of old college belongings. It was labeled Backup, App Project in my handwriting. I didn't expect that opening it would change everything. Hidden among the code files was a voice memo. It was Jake's voice, unmistakable even after years. He called it Project Takedown. It was a 16-minute confession. He detailed how he methodically destroyed our friendship, my relationships, and our business venture. My supposed best friend had been plotting against me for years. This is the story of that betrayal and how I survived it. The beginning, more than friends, almost brothers. I met Jake on the first day of 5th grade. I was the new kid. I was painfully shy and clutching my Batman lunchbox like a shield. During recess, a group of 6th graders cornered me behind the equipment shed. Jake appeared out of nowhere. He stood between me and them with a confident grin that suggested he had backup. He didn't. "Leave him alone, or you'll regret it," he said with such conviction that they actually backed off. We were inseparable after that. We were different but complementary. I was methodical and introspective. Jake was impulsive and magnetic. We balanced each other. I kept him grounded when his schemes got too wild. He pushed me outside my comfort zone when I needed it. We spent countless nights in his basement rec room. We built elaborate worlds in Minecraft or argued about which superhero had the most realistic powers. Jake's home became my second home. His parents treated me like another son. When my parents' fighting escalated to divorce talks in 8th grade, Jake's family silently absorbed me into their routines. No questions asked. Just extra plates at dinner and a permanent space in their guest room. "We're gonna take over the world someday, Jake would say during our late-night talks. "You with the brains, me with the charm. Unstoppable." I believed him completely. Senior year changed everything. I'd been quietly infatuated with Sarah Lowell since sophomore year. We had partnered for a chemistry project back then. Sarah wasn't just beautiful. She was, with her analytical mind and the way she'd twist her curly hair when solving equations. But more than that, she represented something I desperately wanted. Confidence, passion, clarity of purpose. Jake knew everything about my feelings for her. "Dude, you've got to make a move before graduation," he'd say, nudging me whenever she walked by. I'd practiced asking her out dozens of times. The words always dissolved on my tongue. At Martin Weber's Halloween party, Jake orchestrated what he called Operation Ask Sarah Out. He promised to create a moment. He'd get us alone together. Then I'd finally tell her how I felt. When I spotted her across the room, Jake intercepted. "I'll warm her up for you," he said with a wink. 30 minutes later, I found them on the back porch. His arm was around her waist. Her head rested on his shoulder. Something sharp and cold twisted in my chest. "What happened to Operation Ask Sarah Out?" I demanded when Jake found me later. His face showed momentary surprise before settling into familiar ease. "She asked about you," he explained. "But then we got talking and, I don't know, man, it just clicked." "You knew how I felt," I said flatly. "Come on, be realistic," he replied. "She was never gonna go for you. You freeze up just saying hi to her." He squeezed my shoulder. "We've been drinking, having fun. It's nothing serious." But it was serious. The next morning, my phone buzzed with notifications from Instagram. Jake and Sarah were official. There were photos of them together. His caption read, "Sometimes the best things happen when you least expect them." I wanted to hate him, but Jake had years of experience neutralizing my anger. "Would you rather she date some random jerk?" he asked. "At least this way, she's still in your life." I couldn't articulate why this hurt worse than any random guy. And when Jake added, "brothers before, well, nothing changes between us," I nodded. I swallowed everything I really wanted to say. But things had changed. A small, persistent voice whispered new doubts. Maybe Sarah hadn't been the first time Jake had taken something I wanted. Maybe I just hadn't been paying attention. We attended different universities. I went to MIT on a computer science scholarship. Jake went to NYU on his parents' dime. The distance should have weakened our connection. But Jake maintained it with deliberate effort. Weekly video calls, surprise visits, constant texts. The dynamic duo, conquering different coasts, he'd say, building our networks. In hindsight, I realized Jake was keeping tabs on me, not maintaining our friendship. Sophomore year, I developed an app that simplified academic research collaboration. It allowed students to connect based on complementary skills and schedules. They could match with project partners and track contribution metrics. The beta version gained traction across campus. Professors requested custom integrations for their classes. When Jake visited for spring break, I showed him my work in progress. He stared at the screen. He was uncharacteristically quiet. "This could be huge, he finally said. Eyes still fixed on the screen. "Like Silicon Valley huge." "It's just a school project," I said, though secretly I'd been thinking bigger. "No, listen," Jake said. He turned to me, suddenly animated. "This solves a universal problem. Every college student needs this. We could scale it nationwide." "We?" I asked. "Yeah, man. The dream team," he exclaimed. "You handle development, I'll handle business strategy and marketing. 50-50, just like we always planned." The next months were a blur. Late-night coding sessions, strategy calls. Jake secured meetings with angel investors through NYU connections. He registered us as an LLC. He created pitch decks and built buzz on social media. I trusted him completely with the business side. I focused entirely on perfecting the product. That summer, we moved into a cheap apartment in Cambridge. We worked on the app full-time. Jake convinced me to delay my fall semester. We needed to focus on our impending launch. His energy was infectious. Watching our shared dream materialize felt almost magical. Then came the investor meeting that would change everything. Jake insisted on handling it alone. "These guys are serious players, he explained. "They want to talk business strategy and scaling, not technical details." He patted my shoulder. "Besides, someone needs to fix that notification bug before launch." I agreed reluctantly. The bug consumed my attention for 3 days straight. When I finally emerged, sleep-deprived but triumphant, Jake was gone. His belongings were gone too. My backup drive containing the app's complete source code had disappeared. My calls went straight to voicemail. His parents claimed ignorance. His social media accounts blocked me. 6 days later, I discovered why. TechCrunch featured an article about a promising startup called ConnectU. It was founded by Jake Harrison. It had secured $1.5 million in seed funding. The product screenshots were unmistakably my work. They had only superficial UI changes. I consulted a lawyer. He explained the brutal reality. Without written agreements specifying ownership, I had limited recourse. Jake was registered as the sole company officer. The LLC paperwork I'd signed months earlier had effectively signed away my rights. I hadn't reviewed it carefully. "Classic mistake," the lawyer said with practiced sympathy. "Ideas are valuable, but legal documentation is everything." For 3 years, I rebuilt my life. I finished my degree. I landed a solid programming job at a healthcare startup. I slowly began trusting people again. I avoided industry news that might mention Jake or his company. I told myself I'd moved on. Then came the USB drive discovery. Listening to Jake's voice memo felt like an out-of-body experience. "Project Takedown, Phase 3 complete." His voice began casually. He sounded like he was dictating notes. "Ethan's finally all in on the app. Putting in 18-hour days while I handle the business side." I could hear the air quotes in his voice. "He doesn't even question why I need his backup drive for the investors. Too trusting as always." Jake's voice became thoughtful. It's almost too easy, he continued. Same playbook as Sarah senior year. Find what Ethan wants. Make him think I'm helping him get it. Then take it for myself. There was a pause, then a soft laugh. Started this whole thing freshman year of high school, he admitted. That's when he got that science award I worked just as hard for. Something snapped in me that day. Everyone fawned over perfect Ethan. No one saw how hard I had to work for half the recognition. My hands trembled as Jake methodically detailed years of calculated betrayals. Small sabotages I'd never noticed. Relationships he'd deliberately undermined. Opportunities he'd steered me away from. The Sarah incident hadn't been impulsive. He'd planned it for weeks after noticing my interest. I've been competing with a guy who doesn't even know we're in a competition, Jake concluded. That's the beauty of it. He still thinks I'm his best friend. His voice hardened. After I take the app public, he'll finally understand what it feels like to be second best. I played the recording 17 times that night. Each time, it made years of doubt become clear certainty. This wasn't just opportunism. It was calculated, long-term psychological warfare. It came from the person I trusted most in the world. Finding Jake wasn't difficult. ConnectU had collapsed within 18 months. Industry gossip blamed poor management and failure to deliver promised features. Now he headed business development at a mid-sized tech firm in Boston. It was just an hour from my apartment. I didn't plan what happened next. I simply drove to his office building one Tuesday afternoon. I waited in the lobby. Jake emerged with a group of colleagues. When he saw me, his expression changed rapidly. First shock, then calculation. Finally, a broad smile. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" he exclaimed. He embraced me like a long-lost friend. He smoothly explained to his confused colleagues that we were childhood friends. "Just thought I'd surprise you," I replied. I matched his pleasant tone. "Been too long." Over drinks at a nearby bar, Jake controlled the narrative. He expressed regret over how things ended with the app. He painted himself as caught between tough business decisions and friendship. He asked about my life with seemingly genuine interest. He reminisced about childhood memories as if the voice memo didn't exist. I let him perform. I nodded at appropriate moments. I studied this person I'd never truly known. His charisma once seemed magnetic. Now it appeared calculated. Each smile was precisely calibrated. I wondered how I'd missed it for so many years. "Remember when we talked about taking over the world together?" Jake asked nostalgically. He signaled for another round. "I found the USB drive," I said quietly. His hand froze mid-air. "What USB drive?" he asked. "Project Takedown," I replied. "Interesting name." Jake's composure faltered momentarily. Then he recovered. "Some old college joke, probably," he said with a laugh. "I made a lot of voice memos back then. I thought I was the next Steve Jobs." His eyes remained alert, assessing the situation. 16 minutes, I continued calmly. "You detailed how you've been sabotaging me since freshman year of high school. Pretty elaborate for a joke." The mask slipped completely then. Jake's face hardened. He realized denial wouldn't work. "What do you want?" he demanded. "Money? I'm not exactly rolling in it after ConnectU tanked." "I want to understand why," I replied. "All those years, I thought we were brothers." Jake's laugh was sharp and bitter. "Brothers?" he scoffed. "You never saw me as your equal, Ethan. Everything came easily to you: grades, friends, respect. Do you have any idea what it's like standing next to someone who doesn't even have to try? Who doesn't even notice they're winning?" "Winning what?" I asked. I was genuinely confused. There was no competition. "That's exactly the problem." Jake's voice rose. It drew glances from nearby tables. He leaned forward. He lowered his tone, but not its intensity. "You didn't even know we were competing. You just naturally took everything that should have been mine. Then you had the audacity to be humble about it. The conversation spiraled from there. Years of perceived slights surfaced. They were distorted through Jake's lens of competition. The science award that should have recognized his late nights, not my natural talent. The attention from girls who noticed me despite my awkwardness while ignoring his deliberate charm. College acceptances that came with scholarships for me but cost his parents a fortune. "I wanted you to know how it feels," he finally said, "to have something taken by someone who's supposed to be on your side." I left that night with a strange sense of emptiness. Jake's justifications weren't satisfying. They were pathetic. They were the grievances of someone who'd constructed an elaborate mythology around a non-existent rivalry. But the most disturbing revelation wasn't Jake's betrayal. It was that I'd never truly known him at all. The second confrontation came 6 months later. It was unexpected and unplanned. I was presenting at a developer conference. I spotted Jake in the audience. He was watching intently. After my talk, he approached. His hands were in his pockets. He looked smaller somehow. "Your security app idea. It's good," he said without preamble. "Better than the collaboration app." "Thanks," I replied warily. An uncomfortable silence stretched between us. Then Jake spoke again. "I've been seeing someone," he said. "A therapist, I mean." He glanced around. He lowered his voice. "Apparently, I have what they call narcissistic tendencies and deep-seated insecurity issues," he explained. He attempted a self-deprecating smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Shocking, right?" I didn't return the smile. "What do you want, Jake?" I asked. "To say I'm sorry," he answered. "Not because therapy told me to. Because I finally understand what I did." He met my eyes directly for the first time. "I was so desperate to prove I was better than you that I became someone neither of us would recognize," he admitted. "The jealousy, it consumed everything. You strategically destroyed our friendship for years," I said flatly. "You recorded yourself bragging about it." "I know," he acknowledged. "I was sick, Ethan. Still am in a lot of ways, but I'm working on it." He pulled out a business card. He placed it carefully on the table between us. "My new project," he explained. "No stolen ideas, no shortcuts. Something I built myself, line by painful line of code I barely understand." The card was simple. Reconcile Relationship Repair Services. Jake Harrison, founder. "It's an accountability and mediation platform," he explained. "For estranged friends, family members, ex-partners. People who need a structured way back to each other." His voice quieted. "I'm not asking for forgiveness or friendship," he added. "Just wanted you to know that you changed me eventually. What I did to you haunts me." I took the card silently. I didn't promise anything. "The thing is," Jake continued, "I was so focused on beating you that I missed the chance to actually learn from you. That's my biggest regret." As he walked away, I felt something shift inside me. It wasn't forgiveness exactly. It was a loosening of the anger that had become my constant companion. Jake wasn't a monster. He was broken in ways I couldn't have understood as a child. His damage didn't excuse his actions, but recognizing his humanity somehow diminished his power over my life. They say time heals all wounds. I don't think that's true. Some wounds change shape. They become less raw but never fully disappear. The betrayal carved something permanent inside me. It left me with vigilance. I maintain a careful distance even with those closest to me now. But there's freedom in finally understanding the full story. The USB drive exposed Jake's betrayal. It also released me from years of self-doubt. I wasn't crazy for feeling undermined. I wasn't paranoid for questioning coincidences. My instincts had been right all along. I've built a new life now. My security application has gained traction with privacy-conscious users. I've formed cautious friendships with fellow developers. They value collaboration over competition. I've even started dating someone who understands my trust issues. She doesn't try to dismantle them prematurely. Last week, I received an email from Jake. It contained a single line: "You were never second best." I didn't respond, but I also didn't delete it. Some bridges remain burned. Perhaps acknowledging their existence is enough. What I've learned is this: betrayal doesn't define you. How you recover might. I lost my best friend twice. First to his deception, then to the truth. In that space between, I found something more valuable. I found myself unfiltered through someone else's jealousy. I sometimes wonder who Jake and I might have become had he channeled his competitive drive alongside me rather than against me. The dynamic duo taking on the world, as we'd planned. But counterfactuals aren't productive. This is our story. Not the brotherhood we pretended to have, but the complicated reality we created together. If you've experienced betrayal from someone close to you, know this: surviving it doesn't mean forgetting or forgiving. Sometimes it just means acknowledging the pain, understanding its origins as best you can, and building something new in the space where trust used to be. I'm still building, day by day, line by line, relationship by careful relationship. And that's enough.